What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Gamescom is rolling right now. We had release dates drop for a ton of games yesterday. I'm talking like Devil May Cry, Ace Combat, Shenmue 3. Yes, Shenmue 3 got a release date. It was crazy. There's stuff all over the place. Hands-on impressions for several games. Gameplay all over the place. So it's a good time. We're going to go through a lot of stuff here, like a lot. So we're going to have to move kind of quickly through it. But let's start with some of the quick news, starting right away with Biomutant. If you have not been following this game, it looks kind of like like an action adventure style game. You basically play a little raccoon-looking guy who runs around and has a sword, and it's a THQ Nordic game. I keep telling you guys, keep an eye on THQ Nordic. They released a whole bunch of gameplay for this, and it's looking interesting. I can't really tell how good looking the game is yet because we've seen so little of it. Like, we've seen some gameplay, but not enough to where we can kind of make a judgment. Of course, we haven't even played it yet, but we know now that it appears to be coming out in 2019. I believe originally they were trying to put this out in 2018. It seems like 2018 at this point. It's getting a little too packed, which, by the way, Q1 of 2019 is getting very full already. As we're going to see some of these release dates here, you're going to see some big games piling up in the first 3 months of 2019. It's getting pretty hectic already, but Biomutant looks to be skipping out in 2018, looks to be jumping to next year. Not even sure when. I feel like this could be a summer release and they'd get away with it. I guess they could also push it to fall, but so far so good with Biomutant. Nothing's really put me off from the game, but nothing's really sold me on it either, so we'll see. We have until next year, though, to try it out and see how it is. We also saw what was an awesome trailer for Daemon X Machina. If you have not been following this game, you need to go follow it right now. They have seriously a massive pedigree of developers making this, creating this, especially from like the Armored Core series, and the trailer they released was amazing. I loved this trailer. It gave me some flashbacks kind of to Final Fantasy X when you go and fight Jecht. It's like the final boss, and it kicks into like this heavy metal music. That's kind of the tone they shifted here, where it's definitely anime-inspired influence, but it had this heavy metal music playing, and he was rolling around with their mech and just destroying stuff. It was such a good-looking trailer. And I'm ready to find out more about this game, as in when it's coming out specifically, because I feel like this is a game they're going to try to get out in their first quarter, or I guess the final quarter, I should say, of this fiscal year. And that's just going to be a cool game that I think will come out. It's a new IP and everything. And Nintendo, of course, is publishing and putting it out. And I think it's going to be a pretty cool kind of sleeper hit. I hope it's not too much of a sleeper hit, though, because I would like people to pick it up, because the series so far, from what they've shown us anyway, looks good. I, of course, need to feel how it controls and everything, but it looked fluid in all the gameplay trailers they've shown. They showed a pretty extended and lengthy time at the Treehouse, which you can go look up as well. But so far, so good. This is another game that I'm going to be paying attention to, because I really like the Armored Core series. I think sometimes they were a bit clunky, and this one looks like it has kind of a little bit of Zone of the Enders thrown in there as well, so it's going to be a faster looking Armored Core game, so I'm in for this. It's just, I need to know when it's coming out, and as far as we know now, it seems to be a Switch exclusive, so good there, I guess, but I just need to see more about this game, and I need to know when it's coming out. I'm hoping it gets like a March release. That would be good, because I'm ready to play it. Also, we found out when another Sega Ages game is going to be releasing. That's Phantasy Star. Now, we already know that Sonic the Hedgehog and Thunder Force 4 is coming this month, is from what we're seeing. But it looks like Phantasy Star at least is coming out next month in Japan. They put up a page for it and everything, and it looks to be selling for 925 yen, which is roughly $8.50 to like $8.50 USD, somewhere in there. So it's not super expensive. Phantasy Star is a long, lengthy game. I'm going to be curious to see how it aged for some people, especially a younger audience that might pick it up on the Switch. But it's essentially a virtual console kind of purchase, where you get it, you keep it, and it's all Sega games, so what they're going to keep adding. We heard that they're going to have several titles coming to this platform, their Sega Ages platform, and it's just going to be straight up buys, kind of like what we have with Neo Geo. So there kind of is a virtual console to a degree, and kind of not. It's a virtual console from third parties, not from Nintendo, so there you go. I guess you kind of have it, and you kind of don't. So far, the September release for Phantasy Star seems to be Japan only currently, and we have to wait to see when it would come out west and everything, but I have a feeling it would probably roll out pretty quick after that. So hopefully you don't have to wait too long. We just know in Japan you'll be able to pick it up. I don't know if they'll have an English language option in there. I suspect they won't, because if they do, you could of course just switch over to your Japanese eShop account, download it, and then just change the language. All right, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into some of the bigger stuff, starting with Shenmue III. We got that release date. That's something people have been hoping for. It was something I even theorized about. I wonder if there will be a release date thrown around, new plot lines, kind of some new plot lines, character stuff, because they showed a trailer, and the trailer looks a lot better than what they've shown us previously, where they still need to work on those face animations, I think, but before it was really bad. It looks a little better now. They look like they're still kind of lacking emotion with their faces, but the environments, the visual style, everything looks cleaner. It looks like they definitely polished it some and then put out a trailer. And the release date is actually August 27th, 2019. So it's a bit more than a year out. And this seems like a very, very conservative, extremely conservative release date. And I think it's because they don't want to delay it anymore, but they still wanted to give people a release date. And these crowdsourcing projects, I know Sony kind of stepped in and is helping them as well. They tend to get delayed a lot. They tend to have issues. Remember, this was originally supposed to come out this year, 2018, and they had to push it to next year. So now we know August. I know Shenmue fans are very excited. The Shenmue HD collection kind of is getting people in the mood for more Shenmue. So now people have a chance to pick it up, take their time getting through Shenmue 1 and 2, kind of absorb the plot, the environments, characters, and everything, and get ready for that Shenmue 3 release, because that's going to be, I want to see how many people pick that up and what kind of sales it gets, because Shenmue is, I think, a well-known series, but it's not like, it's not a series that I think is going to explode in popularity all of a sudden. But hey, maybe the HD 1 and 2 remaster really does help the series some with this younger audience. Although some of those controls and stuff didn't age that well, as I kind of was talking about. But hey, Shenmue 3, big Shenmue fans out there, get ready, especially if you backed the project before. You can look forward to it at the end of August. Next up, let's talk about another release date, Devil May Cry 5. We know when that's coming out now. It's actually coming out March 8th. So that also falls into that first 3 months, that first quarter essentially of 2019 that I'm telling you guys is getting very packed, which we'll do a little rundown here at the end when we get all the release dates out of the way. So yes, they released a full gameplay trailer. The gameplay looks clean, it looks crisp, it looks like it's going to be fast-paced and fun, and it's kind of what I want from a Devil May Cry game. I know I didn't really hate DMC or anything. I was fine with it. I do understand the pitfalls of the game and why people maybe didn't like it, with kind of the character choices and how they kind of dressed them up and 30 frames per second. And yeah, I get that. There were a lot of things that were wrong with it, but I don't think it was like the worst game ever or anything. This one does look better. Yes, it does look better, and I am really looking forward to it. It looks fun. Devil May Cry 3 was probably my favorite one in the series, as I'm sure most people would agree to that. And it was just fun. This one looks just fun. So March 8th, it's earlier in that month, and there's a lot of stuff leading up to it that's coming out. But hey, at least we know now, Devil May Cry 5 will probably get more hands-on impressions because it is playable with a full demo at Gamescom. But they showed us plenty of gameplay there, and it looks like it's going to be fun. Next up, we have Luigi's Mansion on the 3DS. This is one that I know people weren't super excited that was coming to the 3DS. A lot of people wanted this game on the Switch. I have a feeling Nintendo, because they already had the engine from the other Luigi's Mansion game that was on the 3DS, they said, well, let's just build the original Luigi's Mansion from the GameCube and port it over, and we'll put it in this engine and just put it out there. And I think that's kind of an easy way for them to keep the 3DS going without putting too much money into development for it. But I absolutely agree. I would have really liked to have seen this come over to the Switch. It still technically can. It's not like it's not coming over now because it's on the 3DS, as we've seen some 3DS projects like Monster Hunter ported to the Switch. But yeah, I was definitely a bit deflated as well. October 12th, though. It is coming a bit sooner than I think. Although, this would have been a good one to release maybe when Halloween or closer to Halloween. But October 12th, it's not a bad release time for it. I think it's going to fit in there, although there are some big hitters in October. We see with Call of Duty, Battlefield, and Red Dead. But again, this isn't really geared towards the people who are buying that game. Although, of course, a lot of people have to decide which games they're buying, especially when we get into October, where a lot of stuff's coming out, just getting out of September when a lot of stuff comes out. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one sells, although I don't think Nintendo's banking on it selling millions or anything. This, again, is just, I think, a quick little project to keep the 3DS moving, as it keeps selling even without any massive or crazy releases. Next up, let's talk about Ace Combat 7, a game that I am very excited for. I've been wanting to find out when this game's coming out for a while now. It missed a lot of shows, but they did show up here, Bandai Namco did, with Ace Combat 7 at Gamescom, and we got a full release date. It's actually coming January 18th for the PS4 and the Xbox One. PC gamers, however, will have to actually hold off until February 1st when it does release on Steam. And of course, this will have the PlayStation VR in full effect. That was one of the biggest reasons that I wanted to play this game, because these types of games where you're sitting in a cockpit, you're not moving around with a joystick that can break immersion or anything, perfect instance for PlayStation VR. I still think Wipeout is a great use of it. Gran Turismo could be better. It just doesn't feel, I think, as good as something like a Wipeout with its more fantastical nature, whereas Gran Turismo, they're trying to convince you that you're actually in a car, whereas Wipeout's just like, hey, let's turn you upside down and do all kinds of crazy stuff to you. It works a bit better, whereas Wipeout's feels more like a roller coaster. Gran Turismo's taking itself too seriously. So this is going to be awesome. I really hope the PlayStation VR end of it turns out great, because flying a plane in Ace Combat felt pretty good with Ace Combat 6, and it's just going to feel even better, I hope, in PlayStation VR. Either way, I've been looking forward to this game for a while now, and now to see it coming out sooner than I thought. January releases don't happen very often, and now we have quite a few. We have Ace Combat, we have Resident Evil, and we have Kingdom Hearts all fitting into January, and then we're going to get into February and March where we have even more. Let's go over actually all of the releases that are taking place. So January 18th, we have Ace Combat 7. January 25th, we have Resident Evil 2. January 29th, we have Kingdom Hearts 3. February 22nd, we have Anthem. February 22nd, again, we have Crackdown 3. Same day, Metro Exodus. Same day, Days Gone. That's going to be an insane day, by the way. March 8th, Devil May Cry 5. March 15th, The Division 2. March 22nd, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. So you can see how we're still working through 2018, which we're expecting a fall direct that could throw even more games in there. I'm thinking hopefully Daemon X Machina falls in there and Fire Emblem falls in there, and then there could be one or two others that fall in there to help kind of round out Nintendo's, their final end of their fiscal year to hit that 20 million mark. This is going to get out of control. We're already talking about how the fall is packed. This first quarter is getting massively packed in 2019, which is cool. I mean, I like having a lot of these games to get the year started, but man, this is getting pretty crazy, and it's exciting to be a gamer right now, right? We're going into a absolutely packed fall, and we're going to come out the other end after December with just a ton more games staring right at us. This is great. Next up, let's talk about the Master Chief Collection. Microsoft had their full Inside Xbox there. They talked about a couple of bundles. There was a Tomb Raider bundle, they did a Forza bundle, and they did like a PUBG controller. But I think the biggest announcement, I think a lot of people are going to agree, we found out finally when Master Chief Collection is, one, going to Game Pass. It's actually going there next month. So starting September 1st, you could download Halo, the Master Chief Collection. Highly recommend it, by the way. Awesome game. It was just massively broken when it came out, and they've been working to fix it, and it seems like they have. And they're putting out their Xbox One X enhancements that same day. There's a full patch, and they had a whole bunch of patch notes. We're getting the 4K HDR at 60 frames per second, faster load time, improved matchmaking in offline LAN, and an intelligent delivery system that will allow you to choose, which games you're downloading. So you have to download each one, or you can only download the single player or multiplayer of each part. So the problem here was this game was ballooning in file size, as you can imagine. We're throwing 4K and everything in there too, with texture sizes and everything. So when you have all those games packed in, you might not want to play Halo 4, but you want to play Halo 3, or maybe you want to play Halo 2, but not Halo 1. You can go through and you can pick which ones you want, and it'll install those games, or that multiplayer, that single player. Some people probably don't even want to play the single player. They just want to go online and play against each other. You can do that. You can just pick which ones you want, which is extremely appreciated because some of these Xbox games get so large. Gears of War is like 100-something gigabytes. Final Fantasy 15 is even larger. It's insane, but I like the intelligent delivery system. I love that it's going to Game Pass, by the way. Game Pass continues to become an amazing value, but the reason I'm really happy that it's going to Game Pass is because I really want people to play that game again, because I'm such a Halo fan, and I'm picking it right back up when that patch comes out. I'm going online, and I expect to see way more people on there because of Game Pass. It's a very exciting time. Check it out if you have Game Pass, though. Completely worth it, especially with all these fixes they've put out. and just a couple more weeks we can play some Halo. And our last bit of news, let's talk about the NVIDIA cards that were announced, the RTX line that is introducing real-time ray tracing that is actually usable in games. And we saw a full presentation and everything where they showed it in-game with Battlefield 5, kind of a tech demo and everything. That seemed to be the most apparent use of it. They did show it in Tomb Raider as well, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and it looked pretty good there with kind of the shadows that were dynamic, that were very soft at times, and you could see that ray tracing was in full effect there. But I still think the Battlefield 5 demonstration was probably the best, and we did get some hands-on. And this is where things get a little weird. So with ray tracing off, it seems like, yes, this is a more powerful card by a fair margin. They were talking about getting like 100 frames per second or more in up to 4K, that I think was actually super sampled down to 1080. It was very weird. But they were talking about how they were getting 4K, 100 frames per second or something, and it was moving well, but then they turned on ray tracing and they were getting less than 60. They were actually unable to hit 1080p at 60 in Battlefield 5. This is actually from PCGamesN.com, and they talked about it heavily. Tech Radar talked about it, and it seems, just right now anyway, and this is why I tell you guys, wait for benchmarks before you place those pre-orders, it seems like ray tracing is going to be a bit of a climb. We need drivers probably updated. We need games optimized for it. I don't think you're going to have a competitive, and I say competitive frame rate. I think you'll have a frame rate where you can walk around and look at things and be like, oh, this looks cool, right? Because you'll get like, 40, 50 frames per second. But a lot of people want minimum 60. And if you're on PC, there are people who want hundreds of frames, 144 frames for a 144 hertz monitor and everything. You're probably not getting that with ray tracing, even with the $1,200 GPU. So keep in mind, maybe you do want to pick up a 1080 Ti for cheap, because I already saw them on Craigslist now for like $300 to $350. People are just dumping these things right now to get ready for the next cards. Because if you're not really interested in visuals and you're more competitive and want that smooth frame rate, I don't know if you're going to get it with ray tracing on, but with it off, you'll definitely go with newer cards, but you could probably get the same or at least similar performance with a 1080 or 1080 Ti for significantly less. Keep in mind, guys, we got to see the benchmarks. I just want to give you guys a heads up just in case you're screaming towards that pre-order page. Let's see how they perform first. And guys, that's going to do it for Newswave today. Make sure you guys give this video a like if you liked it, dislike it if not. Let me know what you think about everything we talked about today, where there's all the release dates. There's stuff everywhere, guys, all over the place from Gamescom. Let me know what maybe your favorite game was that you got to hear about the release date for. Maybe it's Shenmue 3. Maybe you saw that Daemon X Machina trailer like I did and you got really excited. What about the Master Chief Collection? Are you really excited now that it seems to be fixed? And it's coming to Game Pass. If you have Game Pass, you just go download it. It's exciting times right now, guys, to be a gamer, and I'm looking forward to the next 6 months. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.